This is the one to watch. Channel 11 WIIC-11 Pittsburgh. It's time now for the 6:30 news roundup for this Tuesday, February 27, 1962. Here now, Peter Wiggins. Good evening, everybody. I'm Peter Wiggins. Here's what's happening. Pittsburgh Delirium temporarily blocked today in an effort to introduce a gloomy financial statement without supporting evidence in the battle of the bulky bottle. But the dealers indicated that they may try again late to the day to get the figure into the record here.
On slippery roads.
They were developments of the Milk Control Commission resumed hearings on a proposal to get two housewives to buy 2 half-gallons in plastic twin packs at the same price, now charged for a 12-pound gallon jug. Milk dealers sought permission to introduce a statement indicated that their profit margin is only 2/3 of 1%. A Clayton County farmer testified that the dealers to use it in a plan to sell milk by the gallon at discount prices. Move in pocket. Dr. Raymond L. King, professor of dairy technology at the University of Maryland, said a confidentiality of a confirmatory classes versus cartons have been ranging on for 24 years, and anybody has yet to come up with a definite solution. Dr. Raymond A. Richmond, University of Pittsburgh, regretted conflicting testimony he had offered in behalf of the consumers at the previous meeting. Dr. King said a Purdue University professor said that he used the Univac machine to compare the merits and costs of glass versus plastic containers, and they found by very small factors you can come up with any answer you. Last October, Dr. Richmond testified in behalf of the discount prices on milk sold by the gallon and indicated that the choice of containers is up to the public and said it would make a much difference in the cost. There. New York. J. Truman Bidwell, 58, chairman of the Board of Governors of the New York Stock Exchange, was indicted today in charges of evading $55,098 in income taxes. His resignation as chairman and was announced immediately afterward by the exchange. The 2-count indictment, covered in years 1956 and 1957, was returned by a federal grand jury here after an investigation by the Internal Revenue Service lasted more than 3 years. The exchange said that Bidwell's resignation also meant that he resigned from the board of the governors. Henry M. Watts, Jr. of Mitchell, Trevor Watson, company vice chairman of the board, automatically succeeds to the top post, which he will be keeping at least until May 21st, when a new chairman takes over the office after the exchange election. Bidwell has homes at 610 Park Avenue, New York, and 11 Redding Avenue Road in Eastern Connecticut. Bidwell had adopted his resignation on February 1st, and exchange said. Assistant U.S. Attorney Stephen A. Kaufman said that the alleged evasions included reported capital gains and a statement of fictitious expense for travel, bonuses and triple contributions and entertainment. Keith Funston, president of the New York Stock Exchange, announced shortly after the indictment was returned that Bidwell had offered his resignation on February 1st, nearly a month ago, effected at the pleasure of the board. Washington. Astronaut John H. Glenn warned Congress today that some of the future U.S. space flights will fall, with the possibility of the loss of life. He urged lawmakers not to lose faith in the space program. We don't envision every flight coming back as successfully as the 3 so far. Colonel Glenn told in jam-packed hearing before the House Space Committee. There will be failures, there will be sacrifices. I hope we will continue to have the same confidence in the program that we have now, despite the fact that there will be times when we are not riding in such a quest of happiness and success as we are right now. The committee chairman, George P. Miller, California Democrat, supported Colonel Glenn's appeal for governance.
I assure you, clear skies.
Mr. Mills said that all America hopes the man in space program can advance without sacrifices, but added, but this is rather wishful thinking. Astronaut Virgil L. Gus Grissom was also testified in an answer to a question from Representative James G. Fulton of Dormant, Pennsylvania, Republican, said he makes about $800 a month as an Air Force captain and waits his turn with the rest for the pay raises. When Mr. Fulton suggested that he and a number of astronauts ought to get board, the space team press office Colonel John A. Shorty Powers. Washington astronaut John Glenn was told today that Representative James G. Fulton of Pennsylvania, Republican, was a very frustrated man because at 38 he is too old to be a spaceman. But Mr. Fulton told the hearings at which Colonel Glenn testified that he had thought we could use us. Well, as the monkey sent into space, we may send you yet, said Space Administrator James E. Glenn. James E. Webb. Colonel Glenn told Mr. Fulton that when he was ready to launch the spacecraft, I'll be glad to be a pilot. Harrisburg, the Republican political situation in Pennsylvania was more confused than ever today after conflicting stands by Senator Hugh D. Scott and GOP Chairman George I. Bloom. First action came after a Harmony conference last night at the home of ex-State Senator John J. McClure in Chester, at which U.S. Representative James V. Zant of Altoona was endorsed an organization choice for the governor. Following this hastily called news conference Tuesday in the Washington, Senator Scott said he would run for governor himself unless Mr. Van Zant steps aside for U.S. Representative William W. Scranton. The senator asked that Mr. Van Zant pull out of the gubernatorial race and run for the United States Senate against Democrat Joseph S. Clark. He said a Scranton Van Zandt ticket would be acceptable after Mr. Scott an announcement reached Harrisburg. Mr. Bloom said, Senator Scott did not say this yesterday when unity depended on his joining with him. Me and recommended a Van Zandt Scranton ticket to a county organization that gets anything more than his time. Mr. Scott continued to have been advised by Mr. Scranton that the Van Zandt candidacy for the Senate is acceptable to him and has been received favorable.
The lobe of his brain was badly damaged. Riddled with his
Saigon, South Vietnam. 2 American-made fighter planes flown by discontented South Vietnamese pilots bombed and strafed the presidential palace today in an attempt on the life of the American-backed presidential to go Diem Diem. Diem escaped unarmed, but there 3 persons were reported killed and 20 injured. 1 American died while watching an attack. The American Cindy Ambrose died of injuries received in the fall from his apartment while watching an attack. Algiers, Algeria. Terrorist gunmen killed 4 persons and wounded 9 in renewed violence in Algiers and Iran today. In 8 separate attacks in Algiers before noon, 3 Arabs were shot dead and 4 were wounded by European terrorists. Paris police announced that last night that they captured 2 key members of the Plastic Gang, which has been settling off bombs to protest proposed Algerian independence. 5 Europeans were wounded in Iran and Arabs shot near the city hall. A 20-year-old mental patient was turned over to the coroner today in the pistol slaying of a Squirrel Hill store owner during an attempted hold-up. Ronald Gerson of 1914 Murray Avenue confessed to the slaying yesterday after taking a taxi to the hospital where he was undergoing treatment. Killed was 72-year-old Louis Nah, who operated the Qua Brothers Confectionery at 2401 Beechwood Boulevard. He died in the way to Columbia Hospital with 32 caliber wounds in the head and stomach. While police searched Frick Park for the slayer, Garrison went to a helicopter and went to the Western Psychiatric Institute in Oakland. There he blurted out that story to Dr. Chester Bershing, who had treated him. Dr. Bershing talked Gerson into giving him the pistol and ammunition and called police. In a statement and drive, in Texas, the youth said he intended robbing the store owner $100 to cover the expense attended a beautician's convention in New York. Police also ordered Robert Kirk, 19 of Douglas, for questioning.
I see myself in these young men. And the only difference is
Washington. President Kennedy was pictured off early today as prepared to go ahead with an exchange of television speeches with Soviet Premier Nikita Khrushchev despite differences over the Soviet meeting. A final decision on Trumpet-filled television appearances by the president and the Soviet leader was expected before the end of the week. PS officials said that there were strong indications by U.S. officials that the decision would be to go ahead. This would enable Soviet and American television audiences to see the two leaders on their home screens sometime in late March, early April. There's been tentative agreement between Washington and Moscow to film the 2 speeches on March 16, 1 day after the 18-nation disarmament conference is scheduled to open at Geneva. Because of the technical reasons, this would mean that the 2 speeches could not be televised simultaneously before March 25th. March 14 Geneva conference is the meeting Khrushchev once converted on an 18-nation summit. Mr. Kennedy and British Prime Minister Harold Macmillan opposed the summit until much later in the spring when he lowered the level of confidence where we have the chance to make some progress in resolving the East-West differences.
Carl, and now we head overseas to Ukraine, where this was the image on the
Some people lock armloads up
the Russian flag
in Soltau's home from a trip on an automobile full of "We've been there" stickers. There is Sergeant Everett Buckberry, who is filling up his Bloomfield home with children from faraway places. Like Linz, Austria, where he adopted his 4-year-old son, Randy was serving in Europe. When the sergeant returned from a year and a half duty in Korea Sunday night with his identical 6-month-old twin girls, his wife sharply rugged and doubled the junior fool's dinner she was preparing. He said he was going to try to adopt a girl. Randy could grow up with a little sister, said Mrs. Yu.
ABC's Joe Benitez.
So Blackberry, well, he got a batch pair this time. It happened this way in capital or somewhere between Seoul and Incheon, Korea, Sergeant Blackberry explained. I had to pick that little girl I went in and was holding him in mom's window and handed him me.
demanding his car keys.
Pickets patrolling the Alice Chambers Manufacturing Company in the north side today as a national strike began against the big farm equipment and electrical apparatus firm. Some letter and production workers, members of local 1036 United Auto Workers, were in Columbus.
Carjacking epidemic, and today police broke up a sophisticated.
New York stock prices held small gains going into the last hour of trading today. Blue chips advanced to the point our more motors responded to the highest mid-February sales in 5 years. Moved upward, sales were irregular while chemicals firm. Merida featured a higher oil group but a gain at 3 points. Aerospace, tobacco, and rubber issues forged ahead. Wherever or not you like Tennessee Wilmsey as a battle force in American theater, so Casper Monahan began the show scene by looking in. On Williams' Natty and Iguana, it reveals Williams as a more mature dramatist. The play is raw and rough and has one scene that almost drove Mr. Monahan from the theater. See it?
$1,000 here.
Okay, now on the weather now. Right now, our current conditions at
And new technology that makes cars
6:30 p.m. here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania at Greater Pitt Airport. 40 degrees out temperature with a wind chill about 32 degrees. Humidity is 37, now 89%. Dew point 37 degrees and a barometer 3 below 3 inches. Visibly 2 miles. Winds northeast about 15 conditions. Light rain. Okay, let us take a look at our current conditions around the region. 40s galore all over the place from Allegheny Airport in Washington, PA. 40 in Wheeling. 40 in Morgantown, West Virginia, 40 in Cumberland, Maryland, it's 40 in Johnstown, 40 in Altoona, 40 in Butler with light rain in the air, 36 in Bradford, 31 in Erie, 31 in Cleveland, it is 32 in Akron, Canton, light rain, and 32 in Youngstown, light rain. And it's raining for much of southwestern Pennsylvania, and much of northern West Virginia and northern Maryland, and then southeastern and central Ohio, where? And it's foggy for much of Lake Erie, from Cleveland down for Erie, here, and then for Bradford, here. Okay, let's take a look at our map situation around the country here. It shows a line of rain showers from eastern Texas and Oklahoma, stretching it down from Mississippi and stretching down the Ohio Valley and stretching down in Maryland with a few thunderstorms around Louisiana. And this is a big swath of snow from eastern Oregon and California stretching into
Here's ABC
the Rockies and stretching in the central and plain states are stretching as far as east of Michigan here with freezing conditions much to the northeast, 0 degrees or below for much of North Dakota, South Dakota, and Minnesota here. And it's cold for much of southern Arizona stretching up the Pacific coast there.
soda and other drinks are purchased.
And warm in Florida here.
8 ounces
And the front.
considered a serving.
Okay, let's take a look at our forecast. Go like this for western Pennsylvania. Cloudy, somewhat cold today, occasional drizzle fog. North portion and occasional rain in the south portion. Highs of today around 30s and 40s in the south portion. Cloudy tonight, chance of rain in the south portion. Low 28 to 36. Wednesday, cloudy, a little change in temperature and a chance of rain or snow.
Showing us how many calories we're actually consuming in big bold numbers on the new look label.
And
This is a great example. Ice cream, your treat at the end of the day, but admit it, you scoop out more than the standard serving.
Today, a half cup is the serving size, but we usually put a full cup in our bowl. So
that is
the new serving size, 130.
going to be it for the 6:30 p.m.
A half bagel considered a serving today, but we eat the whole one. The new serving
We got time for sports?
the calories. Same for a muffin. You don't eat just half, so the whole thing will be one serving size. That's really more than 400 calories. Along with the larger calorie count numbers, food makers will also have to list the sugars they've added.
Okay, let's do a little sports section here.
We're really putting in our bodies.
In 4 miles, Bob Skinner said it was the shortest day spent in a training camp. The lanky outfielder donned his proud uniform for the first time yesterday morning at 10 o'clock, and 15 minutes later he was removed home to his family to touch the flu. During brief say his teammates noted with pride that Skinner had added 20 pounds to the straight, but now scales it at 204. He seemed stronger to do his eager to get started yesterday with the other outfielders and infielders, but when he complained of slight aches and pains, he was taken to the sick bay. There, Dr. Joseph Fidgold, the trainer David Whalen, took his temperature to find it to be 101 degrees. Skinner said he picked up the cold just before leaving San Diego to drive to Fort Myers, where his wife and 4 boys had evidently 3,000-mile journey to do it very good.
ABC World News with Diane Sawyer.
Charlestown, West Virginia. George King of West Virginia University basketball coach is #1 choice to become coach of the professional St. Louis Hawks. The Charlestown Gazette said in today's edition. There, in a story written by sports editor A.L. Hardman, the paper said to learn from the NBA club that King is one of 2 men being considered for the post. Hardman said the Divide Club official declined to name the other prospect, but saying that King was so outstanding that the #2 choice is the moment insignificant. The paper quoted King as saying that he would give that an awful lot of thought, but in Morgantown, King said, "It's complete news to me, and right now it's my most distant from my mind. I'm thinking about 3
This is the age of
games I'm thinking coming up in the Southern Conference tournament starting Thursday in Richmond."
your doctor about Viagra. Ask
And WVU will be without Jim McCormick, regular guard, out with a
trees for chest.
calcium deposit in his left thigh in the SC tourney. The St. Louis Post is now held by Fuzzy Levain, who took over as the interim coach last November when Paul Seymour was fired.
Medical help for
And expansion squeeze denied by the NBA and the NFL.
call your doctor.
And Arnold Palmer heads Golf Field in Baton Rouge. And Philly 6 every title Golden Liberty Bowl. And that is going to be it for the WIIC Channel 11 6:30 News Roundup for this February 27, 1962 on a Tuesday. I am Peter Wizard. You have a good evening. Coming next on Channel 11 will be the Huntley Brinkley Report. I'll be back for the 11 o'clock News Roundup. Have a good evening.
Omega-3 krill oil. Mega Red supports 3 markers of
The one to watch, WIIC TV Channel 11 Pittsburgh. Coming next will be the Huntley Brinkley Report.
with no fish